Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. Today is 16 weeks post-op from my jaw surgery and just about 2 weeks post-op from my wrist surgery. I do have some quick updates on both of those things today, as well as on some of the healing therapies that I've been trying. And then I wanted to talk about some of the supplements and medications that have been most helpful for me in terms of dealing with symptoms of chronic fatigue, brain fog, and his hormonal disruptions, these things that I've been dealing with for a really, really long time. And just to kind of get the medical disclaimer out of the way, obviously I am not a doctor. All of the medications and supplements that I'm going to be talking about today have been prescribed to me from my doctors based off of what I need and what works for me in particular. It's not meant as advice or suggestions, but just hoping that by sharing some of these things for other people out there that are maybe dealing with some of these same issues, perhaps it can give you ideas, things that you might be able to talk to your doctor about if you are unsure of what else you might be able to try. I know not everybody has access to like certain practitioners or maybe naturopaths or whatever. Maybe just haven't come across some of these things or tried them before. So just wanted to kind of share my story and what has worked for me in case any of it might be helpful for other people out there. But first, a quick update on the jaw and the wrist and some of the healing practices that I've been pursuing these past couple of weeks. In terms of my jaw, I think things are just still, again, progressing super slowly there at this point. I still sound funny, still sound kind of nasally. It's getting kind of old, to be honest. I really did not think that this was going to last that long. I was told it will eventually go away, so I'm assuming or hoping that it will eventually go away. But I still definitely feel some pressure and inflammation up in my sinuses and kind of where those plates are placed way up in here. So I guess that's probably why I still sound this way. And again, just hoping that that will eventually settle down. And I have also noticed a little bit of a change in kind of the swelling patterns. Some other people have noticed this as well over the past week or so, that I think certain areas, maybe the swelling has come down, so it makes other areas look more puffy. I feel like especially on this side now, this area right here looks kind of puffier, although I feel like my right side still in general is more inflamed. I don't know. It's all kind of weird. It's really hard to tell because it's so slow and it's so subtle. And I'm honestly just trying to kind of ignore it at this point and just not think about it until several more months have passed, because I know there's going to continue to be changes, but it's going to be really, really slow. So I think things have been changing and progressing, but I'm just trying not to pay too much attention to it at this point. In terms of my wrist, I am just about 2 weeks from surgery on the wrist, and it is also getting a lot better. It's a lot less painful now. I have a lot more range of motion. I don't have to wear my splint all the time. I can take it off and kind of do normal daily activities. And I have some more PT exercises. I just had my second PT appointment yesterday, so I have some new things to work on to get my range of motion back, to kind of deal with any scar tissue that might be forming from the incision. It was kind of cool also because yesterday they redid x-rays, so I got to see what the plate looks like that is now in my wrist, and it is pretty crazy. I feel like I am turning into the Terminator between this and the plates that are in my face. But it definitely makes sense now why they have to do such a big incision to get that plate in there. So that was kind of cool to see. And yeah, just hoping that this will continue to get better over the next couple of weeks and we'll start to feel more normal and a little less painful. But just kind of plugging forward on the wrist at this point and seeing what happens. I have also continued to do some of these alternative therapies that I've been trying. So did some more sessions in the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Have been trying to get some of the red light therapy whenever I can. Again, that can help with the wrist healing, everything from the bone to the skin and the incision, as well as can be a good help with energy production. So trying to get that in when I can. And we'll also be I have another IV therapy appointment tomorrow, and then continuing that once a week. And one other thing that I have started doing again because of the wrist is seeing a practitioner who works on impact trauma. So anytime that you have had like a fall or any, even he does a lot of concussion work, any kind of impact, he works on the bones and how the bones kind of hold tension or can change because of an impact, and help to like release some of that tension so that you don't have like long-term complications or like movement dysfunctions or pain. It's something that I have done in the past from falling off of horses and having really old injuries where I felt really stuck or just like was not getting good results, or like couldn't do certain movements in the gym without discomfort. And just like no matter what other therapies I did, like chiropractic or massage, like just could not get relief from. And this has been really, really helpful for me in the past. So now anytime if I fall off my horse or if I do something like this where I hit my wrist really hard and I know it's going to have an impact like all the way up this left side and left arm, I'm going to do a couple of sessions with him to try to just make sure that it doesn't become a bigger issue and that I can continue moving forward with the physical therapy and the strengthening and not cause problems down the road. Okay, so now we're going to talk about supplements and medications that I have been using over the past several years to help with my chronic fatigue, with brain fog, with hormonal disruptions. These are the things that have helped me the most and really given me the most relief from symptoms. Again, not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. These things are all just based on my own needs and what has worked for me, but maybe it can give you some ideas or things that you can talk to your own practitioner about. And I really resisted medication for a long time. When I started working with my naturopath, my goal really was to like try to find the root cause of these issues and help my body heal on its own so that it was, producing hormones and kind of functioning normally. But after like 6 or 7 years of doing a lot of things and making a lot of lifestyle and dietary changes and just trying to do everything I could to support my body's own healing and not having very much of a result from that, it got to the point where I really just needed like some relief from the symptoms, and also potentially was looking to kind of like support my body, maybe with like a medication or supplement short term that could either kickstart and kind of help things move forward, or could it, like at the very least, just give me some relief, some short-term relief while we continue to look for the root cause or for other, ways to heal without the drugs. So I really did not want to use medications right off the bat, but when it got to the point where I just kind of couldn't take it anymore, I decided to try some things and just see if anything worked. The first thing that actually was really helpful in relieving some of my brain fog was doing a heavy metals detox. So I had done testing for heavy metals several years ago and found that I had very high levels of lead and mercury. And it wasn't things that I was currently being exposed to. So the way that that testing works is you can test for like current exposure and things that you're like maybe ingesting or being exposed to in your environment right now. And you can also test for things that are like actually stored in the bones and soft tissue in your body. So the test for me did not show high levels of things that I was being currently exposed to, but did show very, very high levels of lead and mercury that were like stored in my body. And in order to help get rid of some of that stuff, I did this, what is basically considered like the standard or like best practices to detox these things. And unfortunately, when I went to do the second round of it, I started developing an allergic reaction to the actual drug because it's pretty intense. And I guess it's a fairly common response. So I didn't make it totally through the second round of the detox, but doing the first round did help me really lower those numbers quite a bit. And I noticed a big reduction in my brain fog after that, which was awesome. I also have since then tested heavy metals again and still show pretty high levels of lead and mercury. So it's clearly still an issue, and it's probably still contributing a lot to the symptoms that I have now. But since I can't really take those drugs again after I developed the allergic reaction, we've had to try to kind of find other ways to support that detox system, which is, it's hard to do without sort of the like heavy duty drugs. So that right now is like not maybe a lot that I can do to deal with that at the moment, but it did really help me in the past, specifically with the brain fog. I also started some hormone replacement therapy. So I've been on thyroid medication for many years now. That has not actually proven to be super helpful in terms of noticing a difference in my symptoms. And it hasn't really done a lot in terms of my actual thyroid numbers when we do blood testing either. But it's something that I stay on simply because we know it is like supporting the thyroid at least somewhat, and like I would be worse off without it. So continued on the thyroid medication, even though I haven't actually like noticed a big difference in how I feel when I'm on it. The other two things that I started a couple of years ago is estrogen and progesterone. And those numbers have both been very low for me for a long time as well. And again, kind of got to the point where it's like, it might be worth experimenting with some low doses of these things to see if it relieves my symptoms and could potentially even like kind of kickstart things for my body. Like if we can give it enough of these things to get other pieces of the puzzle moving better or whatever, then maybe eventually I wouldn't need to take these things anymore. So I am taking estrogen and progesterone right now. And those two things also did help quite a bit with both, I would say, energy level and the brain fog as well. It's not like something that has been a miracle drug, but it was a noticeable difference for me after I started those two things. Felt like my energy levels got a little bit higher and stayed more consistent, and also like I just felt a little more clear-headed as well. So again, I really hope that someday I won't have to be on these things. Like I'm 35 years old. I don't feel like I should have to be taking supplemental estrogen and progesterone right now. But for the time being, it's helping me kind of get through the day to day. And I'm hoping that as I continue to pursue other healing methods, that eventually I will be able to get off of these things. The one other medication that I started taking more recently, it was still a couple of years ago, but the most recent one is low dose naltrexone. And this is another thing, like I had heard about it for a while, but kind of resisted just because it felt like it was another drug and I just didn't really want to add that in if I didn't need it. But the more I started to learn about it, especially and how it's used for things like chronic fatigue or like chronic autoimmune conditions, and the potential benefits that it can have like for your immune system, I thought it might be worth trying. And again, just like see if I noticed anything different. If it wasn't helping me at all, if it was causing any negative side effects, I knew I could stop taking it. But when I did start taking it, I did notice that, again, like my energy levels seemed to even out. So I used to have a lot of ups and downs throughout the day where like I would get really tired, kind of like, mid-morning, and then I might have a little energy surge, and then I would get really tired again. And it was just like day to day even felt really inconsistent. I could have one day where I just felt terrible, and the next day I would feel pretty good, and just had no predictability with that. And since starting the naltrexone, I do feel like that has been, I've had a much more even energy level. It's still not great. Like I still wake up feeling tired, and I often feel fatigued during the day, but it's more predictable and there's fewer ups and downs. And the other thing I noticed with the low dose naltrexone is that when I get up in the morning, even though it's still hard to get out of bed first thing, that I kind of get out of that groggy mode much more quickly than I used to. So it used to take me quite a while to kind of get going and feel more clear-headed in the morning. And I feel like that has been significantly reduced with the naltrexone. So, it could be that it's a combination of all of these things or other factors, but that is what I feel like I have noticed on these different medications. Again, this is just what works for me. It's not gonna be for everybody, but I have heard of more and more people that suffer from chronic fatigue or even things like IBS or Crohn's, other autoimmune conditions, chronic pain, that have found the low-dose naltrexone to be really helpful. I even think it might be something that they're starting to use for people that have long COVID or are dealing with, sort of chronic fatigue-like symptoms from having COVID. So that's kind of interesting. But that it was not something that I was like super interested in when I first heard about it, but now it's definitely been one of the more helpful things that I have tried. And the last thing is a supplement that I have been taking really consistently for many years now, and that is a liver support supplement. I do it in the form of a protein powder just because that's really an easy way for me to use it because I use protein powder regularly. But I have used this particularly because in a lot of the lab testing that we've done with my doctors in the past, a lot of the markers for things like liver enzymes or like liver detox pathways have been like not functioning super well. And so we found that over the years, if I'm on something that is kind of supporting my liver functioning and like giving me a lot of the like nutrients, vitamins, minerals that help support those things, has been helpful, just like in terms of my digestion and just kind of like, it just seems like everything functions a little bit better. It's been a long time, honestly, since I haven't taken it. So I guess maybe I don't know for sure now if like how big of an impact it is having. But for me, it's an easy thing that I feel like I can do, at least a couple times a week, is use this particular supplement and just feel like I am giving my liver some extra support, which seems to be beneficial for me specifically. So those are the medications, the supplements, the things that I have found to be most helpful for me in this like a chronic fatigue journey. Again, I didn't want to be on medications long term, but for now, this is what is working to help me kind of get through day to day as we continue to explore other things that can help my body heal. And my hope really is that eventually I will be able to stop taking a lot of these things, or maybe just like, take lower doses or take them less often. Whatever it is, I would really like to someday be able to not be on medications all the time and to know that my body has the ability to function, optimally on its own. But in the meantime, I will keep taking these things because they have been really, really helpful for me. I hope if you are dealing with any of these same symptoms, maybe some of this information is helpful for you, or something, even just to know that, somebody else is going through the same thing and has been trying some of these things. Everybody's journey is going to be unique, obviously, and always talk to your doctor or physician and, work with them on what's going to be best for you. But maybe some of this can be helpful or just give you some ideas or even just some hope that there are other options out there. I feel like there are always other options out there. There's always new things to try and pursue, and that is what I'm going to keep trying to do. And I just want to keep sharing this journey with you all in case it is helpful for anybody else out there. If you have any questions or comments on any of the medications, the supplements, the symptoms, etc., please feel free to leave a question or comment below, or share some of your own story if you are dealing with any of these same things. I would really love to hear from you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel below so that you will be notified when new videos come out. And I will talk to you guys again next week with another update.